Hey YouTube audience, Nerd Word Order back again with another video. Yes, that's right, I'm keeping to my promise. I'm putting a lot of content out there right away. Some people are already concerned about this. I promise, don't worry, I'm not going to run out of videos. I'm full of hot air, I can talk forever. But that's not the point. Point is, I specifically wanted to talk about one of my favorite characters. Talking about a variety of nerd things, comic books, comic book culture, comic book movies, and things like that. It got brought up, hey, what is like your absolute favorite character? What's a character you want to talk about? Now, I brought up the bookshelf before, and we did a quick rearrange. I wanted to do a little bit more than that, but quick rearrange to start bringing some of these Moon Knight covers to the front. Now, Moon Knight is a Marvel character that most of you probably have no idea who I'm talking about. They're like, Moon Knight, who's that? And if you do know, you're probably saying, oh, that's just Marvel's version of Batman. Well, you're wrong. And we actually put up some visual aids to sit there and talk about how wrong you are. Moon Knight is a Marvel character that actually made his first appearance in Werewolf by Night back in the 70s as a side character fighting the werewolf guy. This is when Marvel's going through a big monsters rejuvenation phase. So they had the Tomb of Dracula, they had Werewolf by Night, they had a version of the Mummy, things like that. So Moon Knight was at first a werewolf hunter of sorts. He was this special ops mercenary brought in specifically to hunt the werewolf. He was so popular, though, he actually started spawning his own franchise. And that's where you get some of these. So, you may not have heard of a phone book, depending on how young you are, or you may wish you could never forget phone books or never remember them, or just, somehow move them from your brain. But when phone books aren't being created to torment people for their age, they're being used to print some of these old runs of comics. So this is the Essential Moon Knight. There's 3 of these out. And this is just a quick backlog of stuff. So in here you're going to have stuff all the way back from the Werewolf by Night all the way on up. Through the generations, the character's come and gone. He's had some success, but never any real lasting fame. I didn't actually catch on to him until much more recent years when he made a big change. And that isn't his run by Charlie Huston here. So this particular comic is when we get to see the character Moon Knight really reborn into that almost Batman-esque character. Finally, we've got a character coming back who's striking fear into villains the same way most superheroes do, but he's doing it in a simplistic manner. Moon Knight doesn't have any powers. Moon Knight believes he has powers based on the full moon, but that's always been, a little shifty. Now people are saying, wait, what? He believes he has powers? That's the other fun thing about Moon Knight that really distinguishes him from Batman. Where Batman definitely has PTSD, he has trouble playing with others, Moon Knight has trouble playing with others all by himself because he in fact has multiple personality disorder. Whether it's his various human aliases, Jake Lockley, Mark Spector, and people of that sort, or if it's Moon Knight, the spirit of vengeance, Khonshu, the ancient Egyptian god, or a whole host of the Avengers in a more recent comic, Moon Knight is never alone. He's always got people there with him, at least as far as he's concerned. This definitely plays havoc because we got a character who's so mentally unstable, he can't really draw a line between beating a villain up or actually killing them. And that's why I like this character so much, and that's why I actually wanted to compare him to Rorschach. Now, if we're going to carry a DC character over that can really go toe-to-toe with Moon Knight, it would not be Batman. It would be Rorschach. This isn't to say that Batman couldn't go toe-to-toe with Moon Knight. Certainly, I'd love to see that fight. My money is actually on Moon Knight in that situation, but I'll get into that at a completely different time. We'll actually have a Moon Knight versus Batman, and I can get into all that. So, Moon Knight compared to Rorschach. These are 2 characters who are both compelled to try to help people, but don't have the simple, gray line of justice as Superman and Batman and everyone like that has. They're not just about picking criminals up and putting them away, they make sure they put them away for good if they can. Rorschach prefers to use simple tools, a grapple gun, things like that, improvised stuff. Moon Knight has a lot of money at his disposal. This is a former ex-mercenary with countless disposable incomes from his various lines of work, all there to be put into his superhero career. So we've got planes, we've got grapple guns, his famous nunchucks, crescent daggers. Most of these actually lined with silver, keeping over with that whole werewolf hunting aspect. But more than that, always with the white theme. So that's another great comparison to these dark characters like Rorschach that sit there and use nighttime to their advantage. Moon Knight's in fact so crazy that he likes to see his enemies see him coming. He doesn't want to sit there and hide in the shadows. He dressed himself in white from head to toe. He wants to make sure that everybody can see him coming, so that way they can't possibly have the excuse to say, oh, well, he snuck up on me, because this guy doesn't sneak up on you. He just hits you, and he hits you hard. Another great showdown, in fact, with that is between Moon Knight and Deadpool. I know there's a lot of Deadpool fans out there, and if you haven't got a chance, look into Deadpool versus Moon Knight. Really good fight. It takes place majority in a Moon Knight comic, but it also gives the Merc with a Mouth his fair justice. So if you like that, I definitely recommend it. That takes place back in the Civil War time. So definitely something that's also popular right now with the Civil War movie out, but don't get Civil War and Civil War the movie confused. Those two things are not remotely the same. Again, I'll get to it, I promise. Before I get too off track though, Moon Knight has had a bit of a resurgence in recent years, and that's why I wanted to talk about him, because there's a good chance that with the direction of the Marvel shows going on Netflix and things like that, and even the success of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, we could see a Moon Knight TV show. So that begs the question, are we ready? Some people weren't ready to see Shane from The Walking Dead step up as a Punisher, that he wasn't the right size, he wasn't this, things like that. I promise you, his turn as the Punisher is probably one of the most violently impressive acts I've ever seen. Just seeing his portrayal of the character really, it brought hope to me. I now am hopeful for a small screen cinematic universe. So, can they bring Moon Knight over? Is he too violent? Is he too unstable? What elements of the character are they going to bring? I don't know for sure, but that's why I had to do this video, because I had to talk about this character before he becomes big, before I become late to the party, as I say. So I want to start this video right now, and I'm going to do a follow-up in a couple weeks. Down below in the comment section, I want you guys just to shout out some questions you might have about the character. Gives me something to do, something to bring back to you, as well as tell me if you've had any experience with the character, if you know anything about the character. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some time here, and I'm going to come back to this and get really in depth with just some of his best moments, Moon Knight's top 10 fights, things like that. This was just a brief introduction to Moon Knight as a character, bringing his God of Vengeance to the forefront. But more than just that, this was another chance for me to, again, bring you guys content. So tell me what you thought of this. Get some of that information to me in the comment section below. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, share, and of course subscribe. Thanks guys. Thanks for watching.